get together. Let's get together. Let's get together. Everybody, let's get together. Let's get together. Let's get together. Like family.
Hey, Living Waters. So pumped that you can be with us today. Thanks for taking a few minutes of your time to listen to this interview with Angie Hayes. Been in our church for a while. We got to meet them during the Ashland Church and have just seen them become such a vital part of who we are and our story, and we love them. And they also own Kid to Kid. So I've invited them to come and invited her to come and share a little bit of the story of how this time has been as a small business owner. So, hi, Angie. Good morning.
Hi, Ryan. Hi, everybody.
Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. It's been fun chatting with you, and we finally had to stop talking and hit record. So here we are, and I'm excited because I feel like you carry a testimony of a lot of things, what God's heart is in this time, how he's met your family, and what he's been doing in and around you guys, but also in the spectrum of the economic turmoil that a lot of people are facing as a small business owner. So I know it's a big question. There could be a lot of ways it could go, but as a small business owner and as someone who has a large family and all the things that you're looking at, employees that you love, how has this time been for you when you got the news that things were starting to shut down and then we had to do all of the social distancing stuff? I know that had a huge impact on you guys.
Yeah. So prior to the shutdown, we had 16 employees. Our store is, small business, Kid to Kid. It's a children's resale here in the Valley. And we personally have 8 children as well. So when this happened, it was honestly, there was so much in the air. We weren't sure. What does this mean? How long is it going to happen? Yeah. So initially it was kind of like, okay. And then quickly we learned financially the impact and what this means to turn out. Most of my employees are single moms. So I immediately felt great responsibility because we truly are. I love these women. I love my employees. And so it felt like, oh my gosh, not only am I considering my family of 10 financially, but now all of these people. So early on, Jake and I decided that we were not going to, there was, you can negotiate in your mind all the things and you try and do all the things you can. And then ultimately where we finally all just settled in and realized there's not much we're going to be able to do, we just decided we are going to choose to turn our attention and focus and believe that this is for us. Believe that everything, what if instead of going into fear, what if we decided that this is the answer to all of our prayers that we've been praying for as a family, as a business, as growth, emotionally, spiritually? What if?
Yeah, but it doesn't look like it.
And so of course, but sometimes when you're backed so deeply into a corner, you can kind of go, there's nowhere else to turn. So let's try this on. And so we decided to make that commitment of say, this is for us. Mm-hmm. And in that, we're as business owners, you don't make unemployment, you don't make these things. So I'm like, oh my gosh. And to pay the bills for a family of 10 is not a small feat. Right. So, but again, that could rob us. And we decided just to be fierce about it and say, we are going to set all of that aside. If we lose everything, we lose everything. But what we have right now, because I have 5 kids that are in their teenage years, ready to leave in the next 3 years, catapulting. And so I'm like, what if this time is the time for us to stay home and just be able to have these last moments together? So I'm not going to be robbed financially, and we're just going to dive into this and believe that this is God answering our prayer that we get to have uninterrupted time. But then there's the financial piece. So there was also this element because we are a franchise. We're the only one in Oregon, but there's 120 in the world. And so I'm part of these franchise sessions where the lawyers are coming on telling us to come in and you need to apply for these loans. You need to do these things to save your business.
Wow. Yeah.
So in the midst of all of this, I'm like, but I could feel that none of this felt right. So we prayed about it. I just asked, okay, God, I am not afraid to paperwork it and try and, apply for all these different
Sure.
options.
Yeah.
But I kept hearing, I saw this very clear vision of Braveheart, the movie, where Mel Gibson, they're about to go into battle and he's saying, hold, and they're running at him. And I'm like, okay, Holy Spirit, if you're saying hold on applying for these loans, but I'm hearing there's a limited amount of funds, I'm going to hold. And so we set it aside. And I said, I'll check in every day, once a day, and I'm not going to allow my mind to obsess over it. I'm not going to be robbed from this time with my family.
Yeah.
So we'll set it aside. We'll check in every morning. And when you tell us, we'll do it. So the first wave went and the funds were depleted.
Right. In like 2 days or whatever it was.
And I'm like, okay, there was like kind of relief in that, like, okay, whatever. And then, but still weeks are passing. And then the second wave comes and we're told, like, you need to get in on this. This is the last wave that's going to happen.
This is what the lawyers, like
our lawyers, the head of the franchises, all the other franchisees had applied.
Like, got to do it.
Yeah, I got to do it. And then also it takes 6 to 8 weeks to receive your funding is what they were all experiencing. Yeah. So the second wave comes and I'm like ready. And I ask, and I very clearly see the Mel Gibson again. Hold.
There's a certain age. There's a certain age of people that we, our whole spiritual journey is basically pictures from Braveheart. If we're being honest.
Right. If you don't know the film, it's good.
Yes.
That's how God talks to me in those.
Yes.
For me, that's how at least that's how I can hear it, I guess is the way to say it. But so the second wave comes and I hear hold again and I'm like, okay, I will. And, at this point we're 6 weeks in, no income for 6 weeks. One thing that was lovely was a lot of my employees were starting to receive unemployment. And actually, as we played with these different pieces in my mind, I'm like, wait a second, my staff is getting a paid vacation. Like we chose to start seeing, and we were fierce about every day starting our day. And Jake and I would sit outside on our deck and we would just start talking and commit to like, what is true? What is true right now?
Yeah.
And we would say little things like the miracles that we were seeing every day. And by the end of, a half hour, 45 minutes, we're like, this is the most incredible time we've ever had in our lives.
Wow.
We're having the best conversations. We're in pure joy. I feel so relaxed. This is truly for us. At first it starts off, you have to, negotiate it. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, my teens have never been closer. My kids are playing beautifully. Schooling is the way I've wanted to do it. Yeah. I've never homeschooled my kids because that's crazy town for me.
So is.
Oh my gosh. But I've always wanted to. And so there's been this part of me that's never been able to fully commit. And what if I could do this? I've gotten to do that. So all these little things we would just name over and over.
What we fix our mind on becomes the reality that we from that morning or that goes through.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it felt like that. It truly was like, this is a miracle. This is the dream. This is why we had so many children and adopted so many children, because we wanted community and this is what we were living. So that's what we focused on. And I said, I will not be robbed from this. So now we're at the end of the second round of Paycheck Protection funds depleted. And this is the other thing that I kept feeling like God said, you're not going to open until May 15th. And the whole time I would tell Jake, I think we're going to open May 15th.
Wow.
Like, okay, well, what if we act as if? What we have 2 months. What do you want to do? We painted our building. We did a small renovation.
Yeah.
We acted as if, but we brought all our kids. They were like running through when else can you run through a department store, diving under the shelves and do it? And we just used all of it to just be like, oh my gosh. So at the end, if we lose it, we lose it. But you know what? This is incredible. Yeah. So now we're coming close to early May. And I heard someone actually contacted me and said, this is the last chance to do the paycheck
protection program. Yeah.
Yeah. And I prayed about it. I'm like, and I just kind of got like well, you can try it. And with this person, because he was like a financial institution, because everyone had told me, don't do your local bank or don't do the banks. I use US Bank because they're so depleted. They'll never even hear from you.
Sure.
But I just thought, I got a notice on my phone from my bank and I'm like, I clicked like apply now. I literally filled out the stuff. It was so simple. And everyone was telling me, oh my gosh, you have to upload all this stuff and make sure or else you'll be denied. It was so simple that I was like, did that work?
Yeah. Did I do that right?
Yeah. I never talked to a soul. I just clicked like, okay. And, they said, we're sorry for the delay. You'll receive a number when your application's received. I'm like, okay. Well, at this point, it's like May, I believe, 12th. Wow. I'm like, we had heard that maybe we could be opening. So at this point, we literally have zero in our business account, but I'm like, we're opening.
Yeah.
And then I'm about to walk out the door and all of a sudden I just got this feeling, check your bank account. And I went on, I'm like, oh my gosh, $40,065 had been deposited into my account, directly deposited from. I never got a notification that my application was accepted. I never got a question. They said, we'll be contacting you to upload additional paperwork. None of that. 2 days.
Come on.
2 days from the time I applied, 2 days later, it was in my account. And I'm like, is this real? Your mind. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Lord, this was so phenomenal. When there was no way, there was a way made. When it was impossible and, it was going to take 6 to 8 weeks and then there was no more funding, it literally just fell. I mean, yes, I put in the few bits of information and I hit the apply. It doesn't
happen that way.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, we can open our doors and
you can open your doors and pay your employees and you can move forward without that zero balance staring at you.
Yes, absolutely. And so it was one of those things where I'm like, man, this is how life is meant to happen. This is, if we can relax into it, if we can just move in that way of like, listening, it doesn't have to be so hard.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be so hard. And it was the most incredible thing because not only is the money there, but also, my staff, like I said, got paid and we got to experience this phenomenal miracle financially. Yeah. But honestly, more importantly than that, the miracle of our family getting to be together uninterrupted in this time and not allow, it could have drained me. If I allowed this, it would have robbed me.
Which would have told them a story too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But instead it was like, not only honestly, are we as a business and family, not only do we just get by, we're actually in a better off position. And the thing about the payroll protection that's so cool is not only, if I would have done it earlier, if I would have done it at the beginning, I would have had to pay that $40,000 back. It would have been a loan, low interest, which was lovely. The way it is now, it's going to be fully 100% forgiven.
Wow.
So my staff is now in a position where they've had a 2-month paid vacation, making more money than they did. My store is in a better off position than it was before. And my family is as well.
Wow.
Emotionally and spiritually.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait a second, this was completely for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love that you guys can be in that tension because obviously it's not diminishing what's going on or any of that. It's just saying in the midst of this, how are we going to walk this out? How are we going to live this out? And how do we want to come out the other side? Are we going to come out the other side of this completely downtrodden and beaten because we've been so worried and anxious and holding on to everything and trying to grapple with everything? If corporate's saying do this, corporate's saying do that. Now you have a testimony for for the other franchises even to say, look at what happened when we trusted God and his timing, or to your employees that you guys love and care for so much. You get to tell them the story of.
Oh, I did. And I was all over the and the thing is, all the franchisees know me that I'm like the one quirky store in Oregon. We're like these Pacific Northwest or feel goods already, which is lovely.
Whatever.
So they're like totally, on board and supporting us. And so I got to share the story. It was phenomenal. So it's been incredible. And my thing is like, man, what if it gives us all permission to just kind of choose to see things being for us? How rude can I be? My phone.
This is our reality. No, this is technology. This is the reality we live in.
Oh. So yeah, it's been phenomenal. It's been a really neat time, and I'm very thankful.
I love that. I love your story, and I think for a lot of people out there that are looking around and saying, when is stuff going to go back to normal? When are things going to change? When is even for me and for Kate and I, like, when is the church going to do this or do that? And those are important things, and those are questions and conversations that we are having and need to have. But the beauty of it is that a lot of people aren't always hearing these stories that we're getting to hear every day of how God is showing up for people in the middle of this storm and in the middle of this place. His peace that surpasses understanding, and his presence is actually leading people into deeper things and leading families into health and rescuing marriages and showing up in people's finances. And so there's all of these beautiful and powerful things that are happening. And so that's why we love having this opportunity just to tell your story and stories like this. So as we step out of this time, is there anything? I just love your heart. I love how you and Jake have walked through this, and your family. How would you encourage? You have already encouraged us a ton, but how specifically might you leave us with a word of encouragement for people that are watching this?
For me, I would say be fierce about choosing to name the things that are true and that are working. Yeah. And it's like prayer. It tunes your mind. And I start my day off doing that. And it's fun to have your kids do it. It's fun to have your partner do it. I do it on my own first. Yeah. And then I would say, just be fierce of name the things that have worked, because there are so many. And you're right. It's not to dismiss the hard things, but that's life. Yeah. And so choosing to like what's true, and it's fun. You can feel the momentum happening. And that is the best thing to just make me feel really, really good every day, even in my irritation. Like, what is true? Oh my gosh, the conversations I'm having with my teens, it's not puppy dog tails and rainbows. I mean, it's hard stuff. We're dealing with hard stuff, but it's like, let's name all the things that are true. I'm getting to have the conversations with my teens. Yeah. Oh, I love it. So let's be fierce about keeping our eyes on the things. It sounds like scripture, whatever is true, whatever is pure, whatever is noble, your mind on these things. That's what we're doing. And that's what we're talking about. So, and one last little tidbit, I will say, the something that just rang true in my heart is I think it's John 16, when he talks about when the Holy Spirit is coming and he will tell you the things to come. That's how I was holding the feelings in me. I'm like, he's whispering the things to come. Be fierce about listening to the feeling of it. Yeah. For me, that's really, really been the guiding piece. Yeah. The inner, that his still small voice is leading us even in this time. And so, especially. Oh, so good. And we're learning to lean, because if he's whispering, we lean in. So I think we're all posturing ourselves in a new way of leaning in to hear that still small voice and be led by it. And it's having such a massive impact on people, on families, on marriages, on the church. And so, thank you for hanging out with us today, Angie. We love you and Jake. Everybody go to Kid to Kid. Go buy their stuff. Let's sell them out so they can get into their warehouse and start bringing out some of the massive amounts of product you guys have back there, right? Oh, well, we started an online store. That was the other blessing. Awesome. I always imagine that like secret stash of a giant warehouse full of stuff. So sell it online. All right. We'll
figure out how to get all of that stuff into people's hands. So thank you so much
Take
for hanging
care,
out with us.
guys.
Living Waters, we love you guys. We are with you. We're praying for you all the time.
Mhm.
And we are active in participating with what God is doing in this season, in this space. And he is doing far more than we can ask, than we can imagine, or than we can comprehend. And that's where we want to leave our hearts. So love you guys. Thanks for being with us today. Thanks, Angie.
Thank you.
Let's get together.